Have you ever watched a movie and the second it ends realize that somehow 2 hours have magically disappeared from your life and you have no idea what just happened? That is what Akira did to me, and let me tell you that then and only then you know you've seen something fantastic. Hello everyone, this is the RPG Monger, and today I want to talk about Akira. Akira is a movie released in 1988 based off of a manga of the same name. Now, I'm going to be honest with you. When I first finished this movie, I barely understood anything that had just happened. Only after watching this classic a second time can I be before you all today to do it justice. And personally, I love that. It isn't often that I find anime or movies that do that, but first, let me give you all a rundown of the plot. Akira takes place in the cyberpunk setting of Neo-Tokyo in 2019, right after World War III destroyed the original Tokyo. Neo-Tokyo is for sure a dystopia with riots all around the city and gang wars all over. And speaking of gang wars, our main characters are part of a gang called the Capsules. After having an encounter with an enemy gang called the Clowns, the leader of the gang, Kaneda, is forced to watch his friend Tetsuo get taken away by the government for unknown experiments. And thus, the real section of the movie begins. When you first watch Akira, for the first 30 minutes or so, the movie is just setting the stage really, and gives no hint to what it will eventually become. Because believe me, it takes quite the sharp turn from semi-normal to goddamn insane, with some pretty unsettling scenes and unsettling music to go along with halfway through. And I'll be talking about that again later on, so just you wait. Though, considering that some of you haven't seen Akira, let me tell you why you absolutely should. In my opinion, after finally watching this movie, and yes, I know, I'm very late to this party, but I can surely say this is one of my new favorite anime, if not movies, of all time. With fantastic animation under its belt and employing a mix of action, sci-fi, and just a bit of horror, this movie is a classic. But even then, I'm not guaranteeing that you'll like it. Everyone has their own preference, and I wholeheartedly respect that. Akira is just one of those movies that get you to think about a good variety of things. Oh, and on a side note, whatever you do not watch the dub. The lip syncing is off half the time, and it just looks sloppy compared to some of the dubs that come out today. Though, now I'm going to talk about the meat of this movie, so if you care about spoilers and such, I'd recommend that you watch the movie, then come back afterwards if you feel like it. All good? You've been warned. Now, first things first, I just gotta say, I honestly did not know how to feel about it, since all I'd ever seen prior to watching the movie was just a poster, and I didn't even remotely know anything about the plot. And honestly, I'm sorta happy about that, because let's just say I was in for quite the rude awakening, though a good one at that. At first, the movie was panning out to be a cyberpunk gang kinda anime, though it really becomes anything but. I want to say that I really started getting interested in the entirety of the movie once Tetsuo started becoming an edgy psychic overlord. It's at that point where everything slowly but surely begins going to absolute shit. Oh, and to touch on something I said before, I could have never expected this movie to have horror aspects to it. Like that one scene with the 3 Esper children, and them manifesting themselves as monstrous toys, and on top of that, the music that they pair with that scene, it's absolutely unsettling and a little bit terrifying. Like here, let me show you a snippet from this scene. You see what I mean? Not to mention the milk pouring out of them just made it all worse. But honestly, let's just agree that milk coming out of anything like that is absolutely horrifying. Oh, and speaking of downright gross, I sure do love me weird psychic meat fetuses. That is for sure my favorite thing. Like, why'd it have to be a fetus baby? Unless there's some kind of deeper meaning to it all. Honestly, knowing this movie, I'm sure it is. Enough on that though, I need to get my mind away from that garbage. Let's talk Kaneda and his friends. And let's be honest, on his own, Kaneda isn't exactly the best character, but I'm not gonna nitpick him after all he's been through. He deserves a break. But Tetsuo, man, oh Tetsuo, I feel like he's the embodiment of everyone's edgy phase. And if any of you are going through one right now, all I have to say is you have my condolences, believe me. Oh, and the twists and turns of this movie are absolutely spectacular, aren't they? When Tetsuo finally got his hands on Akira, or more accurately, what was left of him, since all that were left were samples of his body. Since his psychic energy was so potent, they basically dismantled him for science. Though now I want to focus on the art of this movie. This may have been made in 1988, but goddamn does it look absolutely beautiful in a variety of scenes. From the glowing cyberpunk city of Neo-Tokyo to its ruins at the end of the movie. Not to forget the character designs and bleak color palettes, to reflect how shady and hopeless the city is, albeit futuristic looking too. You see all these dystopia movies nowadays, but just remember, Akira did it better. Also, don't you love how every smart scientist in like pretty much every movie looks like Einstein? Just wanted to point that out there. Oh, and you know, I guess in the end, Tetsuo got what he wanted because he ended up creating a new universe. An entire new universe. Man, all these psychic anime nowadays need to get with it. Like here, I have it now, Mob Psycho Season 2, where Mob becomes a gross monster and assimilates his girlfriend that he apparently has now, only to explode into a new universe. I'd watch it. Anyways though, another scene I loved was that little sequence when Tetsuo destroyed the Soul satellite. Like, for once, they stayed true to reality and included no sound. Except for maybe a little low rumble for ambiance, but that's fine. To wrap things up though, I love this movie, and I hope you do too. So let's all put on our baby boy capes, our smug anime overlord faces, and become the catalyst to an entirely new world, shall we? Now, a little apology for you guys. I promised a new video in my last video like the day after, but many things happened and I had to postpone it, so personal apology to you guys. Came a bit late, but here it is. So we're all good, right? Anyways, today's cool thing of the day is The Crypt of the Necrodancer. It's a fun little indie game that's basically a combination of a rhythm game and a dungeon crawler, and personally, I kinda love it. It's a really nice game, and I recommend you buy it. So if you're new and you like this video, do subscribe if you wish, and watch my last video if you want to. But that being said, I'm the RPG Monger, and don't forget that each and every one of you are fantastic.